Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Gary Galvin with Galvin Technologies, and welcome to A Morning in the Clouds. This is one of several events and webinars that our company has been putting together, which focuses on a customer experience. And Salesforce is a big part of that customer experience. And you're going to hear from several of us today about how we use Salesforce or best practices. And many of you, I've had a chance to talk with many of you this morning, and I've heard questions about how do we implement, or how do we use better, or why does exact target cost $2.5 billion, and all those things. So I don't have an answer for the latter. Maybe Bob does over there, but we're glad that everyone's here. I want to thank those who've traveled to be with us as well, and I want to make a special shout out to our speakers who have each traveled to be with us this morning. Don Lamping, who's with Zimmer, and Zimmer is out of Warsaw, Indiana, but Don works and lives in Batesville, Indiana. So Don sees a lot of I-74 and US 31 and all that. So welcome to this side of town. I want to thank Rusty and Mark Walker with FatStax. Mark is here in Indianapolis and didn't have to travel too far, but his colleague Rusty flew in from San Diego. And they have a really neat application that they're going to be showcasing here this morning as well. So thanks a lot for joining us, and maybe the weather will be better now. You know, yeah, that's right. I want to thank our friends at Salesforce.com, Bob Koviak and Matt Schomer. I've had a chance to get to know the both of them for some time. And we've worked together on various accounts, and we're glad that they came in from Chicago. And Bob, one of the things you showed me was the front page of the Indianapolis Star. So it's not too bad coming into town and seeing Salesforce all over the place, is it?
Yeah, I have it up on my desktop.
Is that
here,
God?
so I won't
Does
have
anybody know? Or?
keep it all open.
I love the cloud.
Can you please mute? How'd that go? All right. The anyways, I also want to thank, specifically, I want to thank Bob Meslam and Hillary Metzler with Galvin Technologies. Putting together an event like this takes a lot of work, and both Bob and Hillary did a lot of the heavy lifting. And they did all the hard work. I just have to drink coffee and put together a PowerPoint. So thanks, Bob, and thanks, Hillary, for all the efforts that you've done for this. And thank you to each and every one of you. We know that you have a busy day. We know that you have a busy morning. But obviously, something resonated with you this morning for you to want to come to this event. This event is for you. Our hope is that you're able, that whatever brought you here this morning, you're able to go back to your office, maybe share a few nuggets with your colleagues, maybe implement some best practices, or just network with like-minded people. I mean, I definitely saw a lot of you this morning talking with each other, introducing each other, and it seems that the common thread has been Salesforce.com. So maybe you're looking at Salesforce.com, or maybe you're a user of Salesforce.com, maybe you're an experienced and use it for many years, or just starting off. So this is one of several events that we're going to be doing. So please keep an eye out as we come out with more of these types of events. And but lastly, and I want to give my sincere thanks to Sensory Technologies. Sensory's been a good friend of Galvin Technologies, and when we called them up a few months ago to put together this event, I think it was before we could even get through asking them, they said yes, absolutely. So thank you very, very, very much. You have a great facility here. We try to have these places at unique and attractive places, and Sensory has certainly fit the bill on that. Hopefully you could stay afterwards, because after this event, they're going to be given some tours. And if you like toys and you like AV and you like technology, you'll be impressed. So thank you to Sensory. So we're going to have several speakers this morning, and as a courtesy to our speakers, if I could just ask that everybody take out their cell phones and turn them on. So the best compliment that you could give to any of our speakers is to tweet something that they've said that either inspired you or resonated with you. We've created a hashtag called Morning in Clouds. So if you feel compelled, please send out a tweet to your followers, and I think that anybody who's speaking wouldn't mind if you're looking down at your phone and sending out a quick tweet.
Fully expected.
There you go. Don't pay attention to us. Pay attention to Twitter. So I'm going to start off with just a little story, and I want to make sure that I just touch on this real quick before we turn it over to the real folks who came to share their stories with us. But Galvin Technologies is 9 years old, and when our company started, it started up with just me. And our evolution of CRM started off with Notepad. And has anybody here ever started off with a system as good as Notepad for their CRM? Perfect. All right, 2 people. All right, good. Has anybody used the, my brother told me about the index card system. Has anybody ever used that? Good.
My age.
Well, hey, that's fine. The index card system was what my brother encouraged me to do. And I said, well, there's got to be something easier, and Notepad was that. So essentially, when I started up the business, I didn't know many people in town. I really didn't know anybody because I only lived here for a year. So I basically, every Friday, I would put on a suit and tie and go door to door and basically just knock on doors and introduce myself to people. I would go to the pyramids. I'd go to the buildings downtown Indianapolis. I'd go to Park 100. Heck, I'm sure I even came here to Century at one point. But I would knock on doors and just try to introduce myself to people and tell them who I was and what I was trying to do. And if they asked me to vacuum the floors, I would have vacuumed the floors for them. But I wasn't trying to build a vacuuming business. I was trying to build a web and software business. So as I collected a lot of the business cards, I would come back to my office, which was my spare bedroom, and put all the information into Notepad. And I had this really rigorous Notepad system where I had files that were email scripts and files that were call scripts. I had all my activity in one area, and I had all my contacts and all my accounts in another one. And with a lot of copying and pasting and moving things around, I really had this rigorous Notepad system. But as the company began to grow and as my network began to grow, I had to get out of Notepad. I'm sure everybody here is aware of the limitations of Notepad. And then I moved to Microsoft Outlook. And with Microsoft Outlook, I was able to now add all my contacts into Outlook and be able to take notes on all of them. And I was disciplined with it. I added a lot of notes into every single contact. So if I called David, I would write in all my notes activity about my call with David and then what I was supposed to do next. And Outlook was good. And I'm sure that many of you have used Outlook to track all your activities, correct? And so Outlook was good. I mean, it was just me. And then as we began to grow, as we went to 2 employees and 6 employees, it was still fine. But then as our pipeline began to grow and the company began to really go through some good growth, I had to figure out a way to manage my pipeline. So I heard about Salesforce, and I figured, well, yeah, Salesforce is good, but I'm just a small company. Surely Salesforce is too big. So then I went to Microsoft Excel, and I created this really my own system with color coding and columns and bold and italics and everything within Microsoft Excel, and tried to manage my own pipeline. And that lasted maybe a month or maybe 2 months. And I said, okay, I'm going to do the 30-day trial. So I did the 30-day trial of Salesforce in the beginning of 2006 and exported all my contacts out of Outlook and put them all into Salesforce. And then I learned about custom fields. I learned about email templates. I learned about workflows. I learned about triggers. I learned about more custom fields and reporting and dashboards. And then everything that I've learned and I've taught myself with my systems ever since Notepad, I was able to automate now into Salesforce. It's like, all right, this is cool. So we had 1 license. It was only me who was using it. But as our company began to grow, we began to increase the amount of licenses. And now at our company, we're using it at sales. We're using it on the production side. We're using it on the work order side, the support side, chatter. So we've embraced it throughout the whole company. And that was the evolution of us with Salesforce. And whether you're a small company, at that point we were, when I first got Salesforce, we were 2 or 3 people. It was the best tool. It was much better than Outlook. Or you're a 2,000 person company, you could certainly utilize Salesforce.com. So when our company began, we started up just doing websites. And as our website business grew, so did our custom application development business grow. So we were doing websites and we were doing custom application work. And we were just a job shop. We were going to projects and we would take on a project and scope it out and design a website or develop a software application. But we saw one common thread, which was a lot of people kept on asking us, well, if I have a website, what do I do with all those leads that come in? Because they're going into a black hole. They go into somebody's email address and they just sit there. So people started to see our Salesforce instance. And they started to say, well, can we use Salesforce? Can we implement Salesforce into this? And we were, fans of Salesforce, just like, many of us are fans of Apple or something. So we said, yeah, go ahead. Use Salesforce. We know how to integrate it, and we'll go ahead and make that happen. Or on the software side of our business, people were asking us, we want to build this custom software application work, and we want you to build a custom CRM proprietary to our business. I said, well, that's going to be really expensive. Why don't we take a look at Salesforce and configure it to your requirements? And then through those types of processes, we began to see a really big need. And then over time, we became certified Salesforce consultants. We became partners of Salesforce. And then just through word of mouth, we started to take on various types of Salesforce projects. And in 2011, we began to make it official. We said, okay, we want to be a Salesforce partner here within Indianapolis. And we want to showcase that Salesforce is a real solution to the whole customer experience. Whether you're doing sales, marketing, lead generation, distribution, work order processing, accounting, we definitely saw that Salesforce can fit into every parts of these businesses. So today, our company offers 4 services, which is web solutions, inbound and content marketing, custom software application work, and then Salesforce.com. And we put this underneath an umbrella called Customer Experience Management, or CXM, which is essentially how do we build a solution that brings people into your website? Then how do you build that website so that you're able to convert them and get them into Salesforce.com? And how do you mine the heck out of that data and use that data to your benefit to remarket to them or give your salespeople better leverage? And that's what we call the customer experience management. So that's just a little bit about who we are, kind of how we evolved into CRM, and we don't use Notepad anymore. So if you still use Notepad, I applaud you. But I want to get on to our speakers for today, and I want to first give the floor to our friends at Sensory. And this is a really neat place. Just with setting up the presentation here, I was impressed with all the toys I got to use. I even get a microphone because they're going to be videotaping this. So I'd like to invite you up to give us a short presentation on Sensory. Thank you.
Okay. I'm actually going to close out of this and open up mine really quickly. Okay. So, thanks for all coming here, and we'd like to invite you all back late summer, early fourth quarter, because we're going to be doing a big renovation. So next time you host here, you can invite 30 more people, hopefully. So we're excited about that, and we're going to be implementing and really walking the walk and talking the talk. So you'll be able to see some of the latest and greatest technologies here in a little bit, but I will also be your tour guide today, which is very exciting. So I'll be able to show you some of the things in the back that we do as a sensory aspect. But kind of recapping, one of the things that Derek asked me to do was to give a brief presentation on sensory technologies. And so I said, well, what do you want me to show? And he said, well, maybe some pictures of what we do. So what I decided to do, and I swear that this was not coordinated, is talk a little bit about and think a little bit more about why does sensory play in the cloud? Why are you here? Why are we hosting you here? And what's the correlation between the two? So what we're finding is a lot of our customers, we're having this conversation with them already. So again, evolution, right? So sensory technologies yesterday, these are our customers of yesterday, and these are still a lot of our customers today. And fortunately or unfortunately, we must have done a pretty good job of integrating these rooms because you still see these types of rooms a lot of places. And one of the things that we started doing in early sensory technologies history was bringing people together and allowing them to collaborate. And so video conferencing, very early adapters of video conferencing, distance learning, allowing them to share presentations and share that data. So this was very kind of beginning of sensory, the old tube TV. Who still has one of those? That's pretty cool. So it's a little bit of been there, done that. But we still have a lot of customers, and you may as well, that are in this era. So this is probably a lot of what you see today. These are a lot of our customers today. However, it's still a little bit of yesterday. So what we've done a good job of is we've done a good job of bringing in that remote work site, the remote worker, the remote office, allowing them to collaborate visually and over audio with their headquarters, with their customers, with their remote Salesforce. And really allowing them to sort of bridge that gap through video and making them not feel like they're on an island all the time with a remote workforce. We also, as displays get bigger and bigger, as consumer grade applications come out, so thank you, Steve Jobs, for the iPad. It's been wonderful to try to integrate with that from an AV integrator. So one of the things that we've done is we have to play in that market a little bit. So what we kind of pride ourselves on here at Sensory is that we really try hard to spend a lot of time with our customers and really bridge their gap. So can we sell you a projector? Can we sell you a flat panel? Sure. But what are your real gaps, and how do we make this more efficient for you? And where this comes into play with what we're talking about today with the cloud and with sharing that data, you guys are here because you want a better way to gather data, and you want a better way to get that crisp and that good data that you can do something with. Imagine if you can get that data and then share it with your workforce, or have that data and have it over video as well. So then you really open up the platform, and we're bridging that gap together. And so one of the things that we've seen is Microsoft Lync is in the market. A lot of people are integrating with Lync. How do we play with that? It's not a hardware solution, but how can we work with that? BYOD, I look around. How many iPads are in this room? You know, I have 5, and I have 4 people in my family. It's a little bit ridiculous.
Let's bring your own iPad.
Yeah. Yeah. The remote worker. So a lot of people are going to the platform where you work from home, you work at a Starbucks, you work at a Panera Bread, or you work wherever you are. So how do we really tie them in and allow them to collaborate? And so what we've done from Sensory is we've started offering services that are cloud-based, that allow people to gather together without that limitation. And it's not always going to be standards-based. Not everybody's always going to have an endpoint. So how do we use the cloud to our advantage? And so today's expectation is, how do you use your iPad? Well, that's a cloud-based service. How do you really connect everybody? So I don't just want to call into my remote site and have an audio conference with them. I want them to collaborate with me. It's not a one-way communication. And the cloud allows that collaboration to take place. And how do you have the remote worker be actually part of the team? So who doesn't want to do that for work? So I'm a 90s kid. Vanilla Ice is awesome. So stop, collaborate, and listen. So this is what our workforce today is asking us for. And this is what our customer is asking us for, is for us to take a step back and say, we have this data, we have this video, how can we bring all of this together and make it really efficient for us? So what we've started doing is offering services that are cloud-based. We've been able to offer bridging for video conference to a customer with 5 sites or 500 sites. We've been able to offer digital signage to a customer with 1 unit or 500 units. And we could do that because with the cloud, everything is very scalable, and we can offer it to our customers in a way that's efficient for them, affordable, and manageable. We also do the same thing with video conferencing, is bringing all of these different ways of video together without barriers, without the limitation, which at the end of the day allows you to work like this. So instead of having the question mark above your head of apprehension and anxiety about the cloud, we should be using it to our advantage. And that's one of the reasons why I was excited to be a part of this today, is we are currently doing that. Our customers are demanding that. And so there's a great partnership here in this room with Galvin. So that's my piece. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, it certainly is in the cloud. You know, you shared that one slide about it being remote and how you can be in, I forget what it was. It was the meet face-to-face from any place. And my daughter, who's 6 years old, my parents live in Michigan, and my daughter, who's 6 years old, will sit in front of the computer and FaceTime my mom for an hour and a half and just color with her. And they've been able to build a really good relationship with that. So thanks a lot for hosting us for today. I want to turn it over to Rusty Bishop with FatStax, and I first got introduced to FatStax through Mark Walker, and I knew Mark from a previous life when he was in the sales and marketing world, and I bumped into Mark at a sales conference, and we had a chance to catch up, and he told me about FatStax, and he told me about this new iPad app that they're building to help with the mobile Salesforce, and I think that was in its first generation. It's probably taken maybe a generation or two advancement from what we have now. 6 or 7. All right, good. So Rusty's going to spend some time and really show how the mobile workforce is in today's world.
Thanks, Gary.
You're welcome.
Just a second, guys. I'm going to actually use an iPad, since that's what we do. Hold it. All right, so as Gary said, we're from FatStax. A lot of people ask us, what the heck is FatStax? It's fat stacks of cash. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. So FatStax is actually an iPad application for field salespeople, but I'll get into that later. What I'd like to talk about to you guys today is why mobile matters to Salesforce.com users. This is a subject that has really been on my brain a lot, and you're going to see as I go through my talk why it's been on my brain so much. An alternate title for my talk today would be didn't mean to go so far. Come on back there. Alternate title would be come on, Rusty. Come on. How Mark Benioff scared the absolute crap out of us. Sorry, it took me so long to get to the punchline there. So those of you who don't know, Mark Benioff is the CEO of Salesforce, that's right. So that's the alternate title of my talk today, how Mark Benioff scared the crap out of us. So a question that I get all the time is, what do you do? And I'm sure every one of you guys gets this question a lot. It's a dang hard question to answer sometimes. You know, sometimes I say, wow, we build iPad sales apps, which is kind of boring and not really important. What we actually do is we solve business problems. And I would venture that most of you guys solve business problems. The business problem that we solve is mobility. Companies come to us and they say, man, we've heard about this iPad thing. We're going to roll it out to our Salesforce. We have no idea where to start. They come to us and they say, our sales reps have seen our competitors using iPads in the field. They are driving me absolutely crazy. What do we do? And finally, my favorite one is my CEO has decided to buy our company iPads. He's put me in charge of the project. I have no idea what to do with these things. So my most common customer is this guy who says, we've got iPads, now what? Okay? So what gets me fired up? What makes me get on a plane and fly here from San Diego to talk to you guys in the morning like this? It's definitely gorillas and sharks high-fiving. From San Diego, I surf, I know what sharks are, I see them all the time. But what gets me fired up is getting people to understand what mobility is all about. And I think as I go through my talk here, you're going to see there's some pretty important people thinking about mobility. So as an example of what gets me all fired up, I want to tell you about my worldwide launch tour or what I call the mega jet lag tour. Starting in January of this year, I was fortunate to work with a company called Affymetrix, a publicly traded company out of San Francisco. Their VP of sales bought our solution for his sales team worldwide, flew me all over the globe to train their worldwide sales team on how to use an iPad to sell products in the field. I started in San Diego, and I flew over to Singapore. The best thing that happened to me in Singapore was after the training session, this Japanese guy walked up to me at the bar, clearly had had a few drinks. And he says, "Rusty, thank you so much. You make my life so easy." It turns out this guy had been working for Affymetrix for 2 days. And in 2 days of using our application, he was able to find and sell products that he didn't even know about, didn't even exist. Then I flew from Singapore to Boston, Boston to Phoenix, and trained US-based sales teams, about 250 people in total. My favorite moment was when I was in Phoenix. We do these round tables in our training sessions where we get everybody together and we round them up and we say, sell this product with your iPad. This lady, who was extremely boisterous the entire time I was there, she looks at me and she says, "Do you mean every time I send a brochure from this app to my customers, it's automatically logged in Salesforce.com and I don't have to do anything?" And I said, "Yeah." She goes, David is the VP sales, "how in the hell did you get approval for this project?" Finally, I flew, like I said, from Phoenix all the way to Barcelona. This is in a 10-day period, right, Mark? Or 12-day period. Got to Barcelona, absolutely, completely jet lagged. If you ever fly iPads to Spain, they will get caught in customs and they won't make the training session. Anyway, we winged it. We got it done. We had a training session. My favorite moment in Barcelona iPad training session was I saw the CEO of Affymetrix standing at a table with 2 sales reps from Germany, and he was showing them how to find a product on their iPad. And then he looks over at me and he gives me this wink, and then he walks out and he freaking high-fives me. Okay, so that's the kind of things that get me up at night, that keep me excited. That's what I want to bring to mobility. So now to the meat of my talk. How this man scared the absolute crap out of us. So as you guys know, Salesforce just bought ExactTarget. I thought that was pretty interesting and very, very exciting. If you guys have a chance, I would recommend reading Marketo's blog and their response to that. It's quite interesting. Anyway, how Mark Benioff? Yeah. Marketo, Phil, the CEO of Marketo. I'm going to talk a little bit about Marketo here during my talk. So how Mark Benioff scared the crap out of us. Last year, how many of you guys have been to Dreamforce? Okay, if you haven't, go. I mean, if you're considering Salesforce.com or if you're a user, it is the business experience of a lifetime. We've been 2 years in a row. Last year, we had a booth in the enormous exhibit hall that we spent far too much money on. And then we went every year at Dreamforce. Mark Benioff, and I realize this picture is a little distorted, apologies, gives his keynote speech where he gets up in front of the crowd, gets everybody extremely fired up. They're raging Red Hot Chili Peppers music. And he proceeds to spend 45 minutes of his time talking about an iPad sales application. Great. Salesforce is now our competitor. We're a Salesforce partner. What do? Mark looks at me. He gives me a look that says, "Oh, my God, we're dead." I get a lump in my throat. I kind of have my head down. I'm kind of freaking out. And so for the next 2 days, I proceed to answer questions in my booth. How are you going to compete with Salesforce? It's a little scary. It scared the absolute crap out of us. So here's the guy who Forbes magazine named their company the most innovative company in the world. He runs this company. He is talking about launching a mobile sales tool, about mobility. So after a few bourbons and a few months, I began to rethink this situation. And I actually asked myself, and Mark and I started talking about this question. Why, Mark? Why in the world would you, one of the most powerful people in business, spend an hour of your keynote talking about mobility? And think about that for a second, guys. What do you think Mark Benioff is worth to his company for 45 minutes? A lot of money, okay? A lot of money. He's worth a lot to his company. And he spent a full hour talking about mobility. Then I began to think about all the huge companies like Zimmer, who I think we're going to hear from here today, who have rolled out iPads and iPad sales apps to their sales forces. Companies like Verizon, Medtronic, Merck, General Mills, John Hancock. These are some of the best companies in the world. Some of the brightest minds are saying, we're going to spend our hard-earned budget on iPads and iPad sales tools. And we happen to work with a couple of these companies. So we asked the question, and you guys should be asking the question, what business problem are they trying to solve? Why would they spend millions of dollars on iPads? It's not just iPads either. It's iPads, it's apps, it's manpower, it's support. It's the people that your sales reps have to call in the middle of the night when their iPad can't work, when they can't figure out email, when they can't figure out how to get Salesforce.com to even turn on their iPad. What are those business problems? Any guesses? Eric. Information flow. Good one. What's your name? Dan? Thanks. Anybody else? Business problems that you think some of the best companies in the world are trying to solve with mobility? Yeah. Forecasting pipeline. Good one. Okay. Hey, Gary. Reduce overhead. Absolutely critical, right? These are mobile devices. You can save on print costs, things like that. Anything else? Dane again.
Customer experience.
Customer experience. Thank you. That is the transition I was looking for. This guy wins the iPad. So to me, this slide really sums it up, guys. I read this study by Corporate Executive Board. It's executive guidance for 2011. They asked, I think it was 6,000 or 7,000 B2B executive level buyers, where differentiation takes place when you're buying something. And more than price, brand, the product itself, they said, my sales rep. If you would have asked me, I would have said products, because I want the best products for my team. You might be thinking brand. General Mills, Medtronic, these are huge brands. It has nothing to do with brand, or little to do with brand. It's the interaction with your salesperson. So what that tells me, and probably should be telling you guys, is your customers care about the interaction your salesperson has with them. It's what matters the most when they're selling a product. And to me, that's why mobility matters. Because sales calls happen everywhere, every day. They happen at the airport when you're sitting at the bar and you really want to be on the way home and you're having a conversation with somebody, and it turns out you need to be sharing your products with them. They happen at Starbucks, which the lady mentioned earlier. They happen on site in the buildings that your sales reps go to every day. And those of you who have been in field sales know, or may know, and those of you who got iPads here know, internet usually sucks. And it's really hard to go find stuff and get in the internet and dig stuff out when you're right there in front of a customer. So that's what makes iPads, sales apps, sales tools extremely relevant. The information that your team needs to sell out in the field needs to be right there at their fingertips. And these guys asked me beforehand, they said, Rusty, what's important? I said, it's the customer experience. It's really hard to get a meeting on site with a customer. I mean, how many of you guys have spent 2 months trying to get a meeting on site? Right? And how many of you guys have gone in, they've asked you a question, you couldn't answer it, you said, I'll get back to you. It happened to me, that's why I created FatStax. Okay, and then how many times did you not get that second meeting? A lot. It actually happens 50% of the time. 50% of the time you do not get the second meeting. So you got to be ready in the exact moment, and that's what FatStax is all about. How much time do I have left, Gary?
Just a couple more minutes.
Couple more minutes. So really quickly, I'll run you guys how my sales team uses a mobile application that we created called FatStax, how it's connected to Salesforce.com through a marketing automation platform called Marketo. Any Marketo users here? Couple. Awesome. So this is our application. This is FatStax. Essentially what it is a way to take all of your sales collateral, make it mobile, make it available offline on an iPad. By offline, I mean you don't need an internet connection to show it with a customer. Let's imagine that Gary back there says, Rusty, FatStax is pretty cool. I have a customer who wants to integrate FatStax with Marketo. Can you send me some more information? I say, sure, Gary. I type Marketo. Instantly, our application narrows down to the right couple of documents there, FatStax Marketo integration. I'm going to pull it up here on my iPad. I'm going to share that document with Gary. Gary, this is some information about FatStax and Marketo. I'm going to tap email item because he says, that's cool, send it to me. I'm actually going to send this to a guy named Bob Prospect because I'm kind of canned here. Bob Prospect is already in my system. He's already in my Salesforce.com as a contact. My iPad app pulls him up, and you see him up there in the corner. I tap on his name. His information gets filled in because he's already in my contacts. I hit send email. What FatStax will do on your iPad is create a pre-populated email, nicely branded here. This is for a Marketo conference. Sorry about the interesting moments branding. I hit send, and instantly that goes out to my customer at the point of sale. He was interested in Marketo integration. Now it's sitting in his inbox ready to go. I got a reason to call Gary in 2 days and say, Gary, did you get that information on Marketo? So I'm going to follow up, right? What that did, automatically send itself to Marketo in this case, a marketing automation platform. I'll try to show you guys that in real time. I'm going to tap on a program within the Marketo platform. And for those of you guys that are familiar with it, it's pretty straightforward. Like any other marketing automation, you have platforms. I'm going to go to members right up there. This is real time, so hopefully everything works. So I'm going to scroll up, down, let's see. And there is the email I just sent from my iPad to Bob the prospect coming into the Marketo system where my marketing team can go, wow, Bob is interested in Marketo integration. I better put him into a program so I can send him some nurturing emails. That also logged straight through to Salesforce.com. And this is our Salesforce. We use Chatter a ton. We use it every day. And Mark's going to kill me because I'm actually going to be into our own Salesforce instance here, but such is life. All right, so what I'm going to do is go into accounts here. I'm going to do a search. This is the Salesforce Touch application, by the way. I should point that out to you guys. I'm going to search for Bob, the prospect, in my Salesforce account. Again, live app here running, requires internet access. There's Bob, and you'll see the tasks that I have out for Bob. And what we did is log straight through from Marketo. Collateral was sent from iPad to Bob, the prospect. So again, your salesperson never has to know that Marketo exists. All they have to do is go out and sell your products, deliver collateral to customers, deliver your things, and they come back at the end of the day, and 6 months from now, if I never remember what I ever talked to Bob about, I can tap on that guy and say, what did I send Bob? I sent him the FatStax Marketo integration PDF or brochure today from my iPad. So that is the whole universe of FatStax, our application, through a marketing automation platform to Salesforce.com. I do not recommend doing this kind of thing on your own. Use someone like Gary. Use an implementer. Use your Salesforce team. There's a lot of ways that your processes in Salesforce, and Gary talked about his, they're very unique. Lots of companies are unique. The way you deal with contacts and accounts is very different. Get an implementer. Get someone who knows what they're doing. Otherwise, this will log in the most random places you've ever seen. So I know I got to stop. Go ahead, Gary.
Well, I just had more of an observation, and maybe it leads into a question. Is I think that one of the biggest parts of any type of system, whether you have Salesforce or Marketo or an ERP or an accounting system, one of the biggest things that often gets missed is the data.
Yeah.
And I think that one of the biggest issues that we've seen out there is that when salespeople or when employees are in front of a customer, how do they track that information?
Right.
That, Bob would come back and have to input all that information, whether it's on his mobile device or onto his desktop.
And if your sales team is like mine, they hate doing that.
The biggest obstacle to a CRM are salespeople.
Yeah.
So,
Wow, yeah.
So I think you created a solution here, which is simply if I meet you, I send you something, it auto populates and creates my next step.
That's right.
So I don't have to remember to do that.
You don't have to think.
Yeah. I think it's a great method.
Question there, Dane.
Yeah, since salesperson are naturally lazy, that's one of the reasons you get into sales, because it seems like it's easier than it's harder. I'd like to have the ability, when I get done talking to Gary, and I walk out, I take my iPhone, I say, hey, you know what, I need to remember to do this, this, and this, and I'd love to be able to have it linked right to Salesforce and put that audio into Salesforce.
Audio. Oh, very cool. Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
And then, everybody's got Dragon, naturally speaking, whatever, converted to text. Now I've saved myself all the steps of actually having to type out everything.
Yeah.
Why not? And then the other question is, why not tell me when that guy's opened that email? Because if I send him an email and I want to make sure he opens it, I'd like to know that he has.
Absolutely. That's part of the reason why we like to push these things through systems like Marketo. They have really our other marketing automation. We're partners with Eloqua. We're partners with Acton, Pardot. We can pretty much do almost anything. Actually, we're not partnered with Pardot, sorry. But we can integrate with them. Mark's going, no, you never know. But two things were suggested. I know I don't have a lot of time left. We have a cart notes feature in FatStax that will allow you to tap and say, Rusty, follow up with Dane tomorrow. And it'll actually, that was pretty bad. Follow up with Bane tomorrow. Idea? Yeah, this will log straight through to Salesforce.com for you. So that's your question there. It was a really good point. I like the idea of the audio. Don't have a whole lot of time left. I know I'm basically done.
If anybody has any more questions, I don't want to rush you, but if somebody has more questions for Rusty, I think we have time for one or two more.
I would like to tell you guys about an interesting moment, which happened the first time we turned on the FatStax to Salesforce connector for a company. I was up in Boston, and I was sitting in a room with the marketing person who was Marcom. She was a level below VP. And we turned this system on, and their sales team was already out using FatStax in the field. And one of their sales reps that, unbeknownst to us, was actually at a trade show at that moment. So she was just sending brochure after brochure after brochure. And we turned the system on in Salesforce, and you could just see it like, brochure, different email address, different lead. She runs out of the room. She goes and gets her VP marketing and her VP sales and says, look at that.
And she got her credit card, too.
Exactly. Exactly. That was pretty cool. Anyways, question back there.
Mobile iPads that replaced laptop or desktop machines for sales reps, do they only use this? Their only tool that they use?
It's a little bit all over the place.
Or is this more you're using that when they're for the customers?
You know, I think the latter is the most right. I mean, I do sales for our company as well, and I carry a laptop and an iPad with me. I personally like doing PowerPoints and Word docs still on my laptop. I don't know. I see a lot of iPads in here. What do you guys like to do?
iPad.
You do only iPad?
Well, not only, but I prefer it.
There you go. So it's a mixed bag. A lot of our customers have said we're not providing iPads anymore. Or we're not providing laptops anymore. The iPads are going to be it. So so it's really all over the place.
Well, good. Well, Rusty, thanks a
Yeah,
lot.
thanks, Gary. Thank you guys so much.
You'll be around for a while, right?
I will be around.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And if you have more questions for Rusty and about FatStax or for Mark, they'll get you around. I'm sure they'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions. How do I switch back?
First thing I do is plug this in.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. And you can follow them at FatStax app on Twitter. So we're really glad to have Bob Koviak join us this morning. Bob is from Chicago, but visits Indianapolis often. I think you were just in Ohio as well, and brought his colleague Matt Schomer. And maybe you've had an opportunity whether to work with Bob or work with Matt. And I know that I have for a while, and they're good guys. They're really passionate about Salesforce. But I think above that, they are really passionate about the solutions that they could provide to clients. So I want to invite Bob up here, who will talk to us about Salesforce and maybe fill in some Indie Star news as well.
I know what I'm allowed to comment on. Is the
Oh, you got to hit.
slides are preloaded now?
Yeah. Sorry about that. We could just set up.
Well, while he's doing that, it's green. Can you guys hear me fine? All right. It's not on? I don't need it.
Well, it's not a mic for this. It's for recording.
Oh, okay.
How's that?
Perfect. Quick note on me. I've been in technology roughly 20 years, always represented something disruptive. I see a lot of friendly faces in the crowd. People from one of my clients and partners, Big Machines, and exciting stuff. Our presentation has no references to bourbon. I have no pictures of my boss in there, Mark Benioff. But what we wanted to do is really thank you all and welcome any conversation you have. Really, a part of it was to make sure that you guys know that we're making a significant investment in the Midwest. I'm a Midwesterner. I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. Good place to be from. Lived in Minnesota for a while and been in Chicago now 15 years. My previous company, a small company called Microsoft, I was there for about 5 years. And before I was at Microsoft, I implemented Salesforce at 3 or 4 startups. and loved the tool. Went to work for Microsoft, and they would not allow me to use it any longer. I don't know if it's crazy. It happens all the time. I have some friends that were at Skype, and they were a very large Salesforce user. They got acquired. They weren't allowed to use it anymore, right? So 2 years ago, Salesforce decided to open up an office in Chicago. I joined, and we're going to talk a little bit about that and some of the investments we're making throughout the Midwest. So you guys may have seen this little thing. We have a tendency to overpay for companies in some way, shape, or form, is what people will say. But $2.5 billion. So in the last 2 years, we have spent $3.5 billion on marketing-related assets and companies. Gartner says that the CMO will have a larger budget than CIOs for information technology by 2017. Gartner has a tendency of coming up with these big, broad stroke statements out there. But when I was at Microsoft, I was part of a group that was called the Digital Marketing Platform Group. We were trying to get people to figure out how to use SharePoint as a CRM and as a website and all these different things because we were really scared of this statement. Because at Microsoft, all we had was IT relationships. We didn't know the CMO. So at Salesforce, we believe that this is starting to occur in a rapid fashion because customers are really at the heart of everything you do. You need to sell to them, you need to service them, you need to take care of them. So real quick, Salesforce in the Midwest. In November of last year, we opened up a formal office. So if any of you guys are in Chicago, please stop by. It's in River North, 111 West Illinois. 2 years ago, we had 0 people in Chicago. We now have over 240. We actually have 240 people in the office and over 500 people in Chicago. So then I said significant expansion and growth in Indianapolis planned, and then so we now have roughly, several thousand people in the Midwest. Isn't that awesome? So our Midwest customers are seeing great success. You guys will see, we do a lot of videos with our clients because it really captures what they're doing with Salesforce. Salesforce fundamentally is a platform of which we've gone to market with some solutions that people can easily put their arms around. Sales Cloud, it's just for salespeople. Service Cloud for service people. The videos really help people understand the true applications. At our Dreamforce conference, I've had a lot of clients tell me it's life-changing. It's an innovation summit where 25% of the people there are C-level executives trying to figure out where they should take their business. You have 800 to 900 customers going up on stage and telling them, this is the cool things we're doing, similar to what we'll hear from Zimmer, with the technology. And Salesforce it's the fabric that's kind of woven throughout those conversations, but in general, it's the business impact. It's not, I've been to a lot of technology trade shows where it's hours and hours and hours of, this is release 47, and you can now import, and it's really boring. This not boring stuff at all. So a lot of customers are seeing great success. Exact Target's a large client of ours, Angie's List, and we threw a couple of those on there as well. T2 Systems, the back of the room, doing some amazing stuff with us, and you guys will see a lot of videos around this company called Trunk Club. Highly recommend if you've ever heard of this organization. They've pretty much revolutionized retail for men's clothing because men hate to shop. Everything they've done is based on Salesforce. This little company, Groupon, if you guys have ever heard of. Groupon started with Salesforce with 4 employees. They went to 10,000 employees. They don't own a server. It's everything they do, Salesforce, right? So a lot's possible out there. So the cloud revolution. You guys may know, but we feel that we invented enterprise cloud computing, enterprise-level cloud computing, and software as a service. This market is growing rapidly. IT spends across the board are flat to declining, but people are spending significant amounts in improving their interaction with customers to increase sales, increase customer service, and marketing to those folks. So the cloud industry, $111 billion last year, and it's the fastest growing segment of technology. And we happen to be the fastest growing part of that. So it's a good segment to be in. This one, you took her thunder on that, right? So in case you guys don't know, the quick commercial, we have been ranked as the most innovative company in the world by Forbes the last 2 years in a row, which is extremely surprising. If you think fundamentally, CRM, that's not that exciting, right? I mean, customer relationship management, the most innovative company in the world. It's not because of the core products, it's because of the really cool things that people are doing with the technology and the way it's enabling them to interact with their clients better and to really innovate their businesses. Last year, the number 2 company is like curing cancer. The number 3 company is Apple. Apple was number 4 2 years ago. So Apple's doing some pretty dang cool things. It's really amazing to be on that list. So, and then every category of software, we're the most admired software company in the world, most innovative, cloud computing, and just as of 2 weeks ago, I believe, a global analysis of CRM came out. We were always the leader in cloud-based CRM, but now we are the leader in all CRM, sales, service, customer engagement management. We're larger than SAP, Oracle, Microsoft, everybody. Most people don't know that. We actually have over 2.5 times the market share of my former employer, which is kind of cool. So we do a lot of these events face-to-face to really get to know folks and to see them. We also do education is fundamental in our business. So next week, an example of something that we have going on, we have a webinar hosted by HubSpot, where HubSpot's going to explain how they have leveraged the technology to grow their business by 500% in a very short period of time. We have, we probably have 5 webinars a week based on different topics, and our customers are always asking to do these different things. Partially, they get to highlight their technologies, but also it helps people to better understand what to do with it. Because CRM, for the sake of CRM, you could check some boxes. You actually, just like you're saying, Gary, you could probably do some of the functions in Outlook, right? Or you could probably get away with something that's industry specific or cheaper. But when you look at it as where can you take it and integrate it, whether it's something really cool, I really want to talk to you about your stuff, so you can get FatStax of cash, or integrate it into more social marketing or email campaign management or different things like that. That's where you get the true, amazing business impacting change. So that's really all I have. And we're here in case if you guys have any questions. Again, if you come to Chicago, call me up. I'll take you to lunch or dinner. We're in a pretty cool area there. And but thank you.
Real quick, does anybody have any questions for Bob?
Not allowed to talk about this formally.
Yeah. Well, I know that Bob and Matt both will be around here afterwards.
One quick question. So behind the scenes, HubSpot is using Salesforce?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So HubSpot's one of the largest clients. Some of the things, Google, huge customer. Facebook, huge customer. Companies ask themselves, when I love having conversations, I'm a total geek. I love to have big whiteboarding sessions and say, what are you doing with your information technology overall? And when I get people to laugh, sometimes it's like, if you look at it, you tell me you have like 57 applications that run your business. I'm just going to say, why? How can we get that to 5? And are there things that we can do? Today, just like FatStax, we have over 2,000 custom-built or 2,000 apps on our thing called an app exchange, like the Apple iPhone App Store, that are enterprise applications. So 2,000 different software companies have built a version of their software that runs on Salesforce. Concur, Infor, just thousands and thousands for anything you could possibly do. So once people get Salesforce in as a platform, then they can start just throwing away these other apps or retiring them when they're no longer needed. Yeah, HubSpot runs a ton of stuff on Salesforce. They don't run their entire business on it, but it's we also invested in them. There's invested a lot of technology companies.
Bob, anything else for Bob? Well, I think that one of the things in your last slide was about having the opportunity to show some of those percentages and some of that data. And I think that one of the really good benefits that comes out of Salesforce is the ability to write reports, but pull in the data from many aspects, whether it's from Salesforce or from other types of entities. And Salesforce does a really good job, and that was one of the things that attracted me to it right away. I want to head over to the last part of our segment, and I want to introduce Don Lamping from Zimmer. And I had a chance to meet Don maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and saw some of the stuff that Don was doing at Zimmer with Salesforce. It was really one of my first introductions to more than just sales, and really took it to be corporate-wide. And I want to share with you a video that is played. It's just a minute and a half video that's really going to give a good overview about what Don will be talking about. How do I turn up? Oh, I think I need to. How do I turn the volume on? Well, but I don't know how to get out of this thing. Can I mute? There we go. All right, thanks. Yep.
Zimmer is a global leader in musculoskeletal health. Our purpose as a company is to restore mobility, alleviate pain, and really help people improve their quality of life.
We have a tremendous partnership with healthcare professionals. So much of what we do is trying to make the most of that collaboration.
We were really being challenged at delivering information to our teams in a timely and consistent method.
We were looking for something that can become sort of an integration layer. What we built in our mobile application was a very simple framework, and that whole thing was built out in Force.com.
The main driver was this idea of instant on and instant access. Healthcare in general is going mobile.
You can take it into an OR, you can take it around the halls of the hospital with you.
2 steps to an actual resolution of a question that a surgeon might have. A very simple visual that you can take up to a surgeon in a 2-minute conversation, point to a hip, point to a new technique that might be interesting for the surgeon, and give them the product information right there.
It's all relevant, it's all timely, and it just makes sure that we're getting a very good, consistent message out into the marketplace.
Today, it's all about social communities. It's about collaboration. We are creating a way of being, of how you interact with our patients, with our surgeons. You can absolutely leverage Force.com to create something very unique.
It's all about patient comfort and patient care, and making sure that we're equipping that surgeon with the information and devices they need to be better at doing what they do every day.
Don? Whoops, sorry. Yeah. Sorry about that.
It's YouTube. You're taking a chance right there.
I guess so.
Thank you, Gary. Well, it's interesting. I've never met Rusty before or Bob, and it's like this presentation we didn't even like do any pre-work or anything, and it's all folding together very nicely. So, as you saw in the demonstration of our video, Zimmer is definitely working in the Force.com platform, and that was an example of our iPad. I've actually got my iPad here with the app on it, and very similar to what Rusty had pointed out with FatStax. But the interesting thing, 12 weeks from concept to working model. So in the cloud model, you're not dealing with all the hardware and all that architecture stuff going on there. It was all cloud-based on the existing Salesforce platform that we already had in place. So that was really probably the biggest testimony we had. I've been working in the CRM space, as you can see here, for 23-some years. Was with Hillrom down in Batesville, Indiana. Did a little work with Joe over at Casket, which is kind of an interesting model from healthcare to death care. And then work my way up to Zimmer and back in the healthcare business there. Got a nice little quote there, and you can see some credentials from how to contact me if you guys would like to reach out. We are more than happy. We've done this with many other peer groups in healthcare or not even in healthcare. So happy to work with any of you all in learning your stories and helping out. You heard a little bit about Zimmer in the snippet. So up in northern Indiana, a couple hours north of here, Warsaw, I'd like to consider in the middle of nowhere. I thought Batesville was. No. Warsaw is 2 hours from any civilization. So founded in 1927. What's interesting, too, about Zimmer and Hillrom, I've there for 20 years at Hillrom, and both these companies were founded in Indiana, both the same time frame. It's just they grew from, I think the hospital beds were wooden beds and so forth. The Zimmer organization was wooden splints and things like that. Then they went to internal technology, and just an interesting story to see two healthcare companies that I didn't even know were in the same state doing some similar things. So that was exciting to be with the Zimmer family. 8,500 employees worldwide. But I'd like to take the attention down to the bottom section here, because we're all here to talk about technology, and we have almost half of our employee base using the cloud now. So that's pretty phenomenal. It's not just about sales. And I will say the real interesting thing about Salesforce for us, we've been using Salesforce for about 5 years, and our primary sales channel is not even on board with the standard stuff fully. When I say the standard stuff, opportunities, leads, campaigns. We've been doing things, kind of backwards at Zimmer. We've been saying, let's build our event management module on the cloud. So when people register on the website, like Gary's trying to promote, it's coming into Salesforce. Or how can I get my call center up and running? Or how can I get mobility? These types of things we've been focusing on for the past 4 or 5 years, and we've got a sales channel of 1,000 people strong with licenses. And we're not even capturing all of our opportunities yet. So we're working. The good news is we don't have a fee for these licenses. We've already got them. So we need to now start focusing on the core competencies of Salesforce. So 3,500 users around our world right now. One global instance is another key point. When I started at Zimmer in 2008, we had 6 Salesforce.com applications around our world. So Japan was doing their own thing. Our dental group was doing their own thing. We had a small services group with 8 people, had their own. Our corporate team. We consolidated in 2010 to one global instance. That consolidation alone was our key enabler for that mobile app. We had one Salesforce instance now with all this content in it. We were able to stand up an iPad application to serve our entire world population. And then finally, we've got many custom solutions built, like I alluded to, but we are using the Sales Cloud service, Chatter, Radian. We got our iPad application, analytics, and Salesforce Services, our Surgeon Master. So what I'm here going to kind of focus on from my point of view is a life sciences perspective on the 5 topics at hand. I mean, we all think of CRM and we think, the standard, like I was saying, competencies of opportunity management, pipeline, leads, campaigns. At Zimmer, I just wanted to kind of say, well, here's a viewpoint I've got that's maybe more things of yesterday that we thought, when are they going to come to life? And we're actually seeing reality at this point. Especially around the mobile. With HTML5, I can pretty much walk around with any device whatsoever and put a FatStax on there, right? Or put some sort of a mobile app that Salesforce delivers and not worry about, is my guy carrying an iPhone or a Droid? Most of our salespeople, if not all, are probably with tablets now, so they all do have the iPads. And we're using things like Form Assembly. Form Assembly is an app exchange tool for Salesforce to where most people, don't enjoy that. Got to log into Salesforce today. We're able to stand up forms outside of the Salesforce application. So if somebody just clicks a link that says, I need to order something from our demo bank. They fill in the form, submit, it dumps it into Salesforce. So even though the user has a license for Salesforce, we're trying to get creative with ways to not even let them know. Like our iPad app. They have no clue they're in Salesforce.com, but they are. So those are the types of things we're trying to do with our mobile. On social CRM, we're going to see, we all know Facebook, Twitter, Radian, all these things are alive and well, but how do we get those to work for us as an organization? Yeah, I can go to Twitter, but what's that mean for me as a seller of a hip joint? And then gamification, like to make it fun for the salespeople. How do we see where we rack and stack? We're focusing on a company there called Hoopla, again, another partner of Salesforce.com. Our big data tools, Cognos, Roam BI. Anybody familiar with Roam BI? Awesome tool, just slick as can be, and we're starting to capture some of the value of that tool. And then obviously the data.com model. For us, the healthcare space, I'll just be frank, on data.com, we're struggling with it a little bit because our model, we've got patients, we've got surgeons, healthcare professionals, and our surgeons are our main focus at Zimmer. And it's hard for us to get the data.com tool to tie those to the hospitals we need. And I think we're making a little progress there because we're actually starting to switch a little bit to the practice focus rather than hospital focus in capturing some of the surgeon information. And then finally, for us, we've got this evolutionary trend in the healthcare space of like I said, we're focusing on surgeons typically. But with the model of social now making a key play and healthcare reform that's making a mark in the world right now, we've got surgeons who are starting to migrate from practices and self-owned to now they work for the hospitals. And that's a major shift for Zimmer because we're used to working surgeon relationships and getting that nurtured to get product sales up. And now we're back to hospital, the C-suite type of sale. And that's hard for our sales channel because they live and breathe with those surgeons every day. You may not be aware, but if you have a knee or a hip implant, there's probably about a 99 or 95% chance Zimmer rep is going to be right there with you when you're having that done. Because of the knowledge they bring, the information connectivity we have to the actual product, surgeon does the implant, but anything he needs, that guy from Zimmer is right there to help out. So that's kind of the 5 emerging things I'd like to address. Number 1 being mobile. So much like the FatStax app discussion, this is an example of our iPad app. As you saw in the video, you can tap any of these products we offer, and the integration behind every one of those taps takes you right to Salesforce.com standard content. So our marketing teams go into Salesforce.com, they go into content, they flag and tag information in the standard Salesforce.com content repository to say this is a knee category, this is to be shared on the iPad or not, and then they can go ahead and save that document with the attachment. And when I go to, let's say, knees, I get a carousel of all the knee products, even to the image. So these images that pop up when I hit on knee are driven from Salesforce.com content. We put a thumbnail in for every single content piece we put in, and that thumbnail is shared with the iPad app. We also see here to the right, there's about a dozen apps. This is just an example. We're partnered with Mobile Iron and a company called Ice and Terra for what's called Z-Source down there. But we're building different and various apps within Salesforce.com. This actual app is called our Zimmer Sales Intelligence, and it's the second from the right up there in the top. And then we also see a screenshot here of our Zimmer Catalyst, which is a Roam BI tool. So this example is just to say from a mobile lens, Zimmer is very much out in front of a curve of our competitor. As Rusty pointed out, it's these people who say, I've just been given iPads. And I love to hear that Zimmer, before the iPad was even publicly available, we had ours purchased. We were the largest Apple deployment of a corporate iPad in the history of Apple right when they launched, because we had, I think it was 1,800 iPads deployed at our national sales meeting that January when they became available. So it was really exciting. We were out in front of the curve, which probably caused much of Rusty's volumes, right? What's Zimmer doing? Now I've got to get on this. Thank you. Now the downside to that, you see the cool things Rusty was showing. It's like, oh, I wish we could have that feature because we're in front of the curve. So we got requirements, phase this, phase that to kind of get up to the new features Rusty pointed out. Some of the mobile lens at Zimmer. Second topic I had was social. So this slide here is just to depict what we probably all know in this room. And I kind of gravitate to this section. 80% of people are going online for purchase recommendations. So yeah, that's very vanilla indeed. Maybe not for caskets, maybe, but for different products around the globe, 80% of the people are focusing here. Interaction with companies socially, 60%, and so on. Well, if all this is happening with millions and millions of people, what can Zimmer do with this information? Can we harness it? Can we do anything about it? So what's Zimmer doing? We are using the tool called Radian 6. So here's an example of our screenshot as of yesterday where I am socially listening to that volume of people in the previous slide. And what can we see here? Well, what was amazing for me is I thought I would really have to roll up my sleeves and kind of dig through this information. With the help of partners, with the help of just the intelligence within your own company to say, these are the keyword drivers and the methodology of looking for those keywords, we're seeing some very specific information without really rolling up a single sleeve. And things like, hey, I got my knee surgery scheduled for a couple weeks out. Some patients just telling the world that. Well, Zimmer, hello, wake up. This could be one of our patients. Let's engage. Let's maybe go to a microsite for this person. Let's reply to them. Let's funnel this over to our call center. I'm not here saying we have this mastered. I'm here saying we've just started these processes. So Radian 6, we've got some great listening going on. We can start to segment some of those listening. This particular example, as you see in the top, is Alaska Consumers. So our Alaska team is our pilot team that's starting to focus on this effort. And we're going to feed it. Our theory is we're going to use our call center to feed these. And then I can drill in, I can delete these items, I can feed workflow to send it to my call center to say, here's one that's, needs follow-up attention. So very powerful component that I don't think many companies at all are leveraging this type of information yet fully. And the gamification piece, a company here, we're working with Hoopla. Have any of you touched base with Hoopla or seen any of their tools yet? Okay, Gary has. Hoopla just gives us the ability to kind of razz things up a little bit. At our national sales meeting this past January, our CEO walked by and was like, if I could just have a gong go off when people win these big deals out there. And it was just funny because that's exactly what Hoopla will do. I mean, they've got the gong. So I thought, oh my gosh, that we have that. And he doesn't even know we have this tool. So I'm not showing the gong here. I'm just showing some screen captures. But this is from our sandbox environment where I can, sales guy puts in an opportunity, hits a conversion. I mentioned just a few moments ago, our sales team's not even fully on board here yet. This is the place where we're the least effective with CRM right now, which is unfortunate. But as we start to grow this within our sales channel in 2013, Persona, just so you're aware, Persona is our newest product launch. In January of this year, our sales channel started using Salesforce.com for the first time, and this is the product that they're focusing on right now. How do we put in Persona opportunities? How do we convert those opportunities? So this is where Hoopla is going to take effect for us. And then as we get more mature with being able to do our Forte product, we will add more to the portfolio of opportunity management. Big data analysis. I mentioned Cognos BI. This is an iPad screenshot. So we've got the iPad app for Cognos. We also have Roam BI up here in the top. Data is, probably the biggest problem maybe with many companies. I know it is at Zimmer. We've got more data than we know what to do with, and yet we've got requests for a proposal on buying more data. So I'm like, let's leverage what we've got in our company. It's so powerful. There's so much information that we think we're analyzing but could be related to something else. A prime example for us is our event management application. In Salesforce.com, we know every surgeon, every healthcare professional who's registered for events. People have been analyzing that data, and we just said, well, wait a minute, there's a new equation here. We also have sales data. Why not bring that data to life, not go buy more market share, and let's take the internal workings that we have, bring them to life in our Cognos and Roam BI analytics. So our sales management team can make better decisions there. And then finally, just wanted to lay out, you all have your own landscape. For us in CRM, our multi-channel looks something like this. And like I mentioned, the surgeon itself and the healthcare professionals are starting to kind of mold into one bucket. Because 5 years ago when I started at Zimmer, a surgeon was treated totally differently than a healthcare professional. And in our European model, they are one and the same. There is no difference. You go to the hospitals in Europe, you're selling to hospitals. You're not selling to surgeons. You're not building relationships with surgeons as much as in the U.S. It's strictly a surgeon relationship here. And that's starting to, like I said, kind of morph into more of a one inclusive healthcare professional. We've got the GPOs, many of you do, I'm sure. Government is getting huge, obviously, in healthcare, and that gets its own segment. And here's the biggie for social is that consumer who's literally yearning for knowledge and information, and the companies in healthcare are just bypassing it right now. And not really, part of the reason we and other healthcare companies aren't doing anything is because of that government. We're saying, well, what can we do? A lot of people, it's the unknown. What is available? Salesforce.com, we had a meeting in Chicago, their customer connect meeting. When was that? Like 4 months ago? What was interesting to find there was the FDA is now actually using Radian6, and they had a white paper use case on the very people we're worried about why we can do or what we can do with it are actually using it to listen to healthcare situations and issues out there in the market. So very interesting for us. That's all my whirlwind tour is on my 5 topics at hand. Again, from a Zimmer perspective, we'd be happy to talk to anybody, need be, any questions you guys might have. And the last thing I was going to do is, if it's still up and running, if I can find it, is share with you just an example of our org. I don't know where it's at, Gary, if it's in here somewhere. Just down here?
That one there. Yep.
Okay, and I think I have it up here. Yeah, so here's an example. I mean, just straight into production, things we're doing within Salesforce.com in the live world. Our pipeline volume, like I told you for US Recon, which is our forte salesmanship persona, you can see they just started using Salesforce. So our pipeline's now grown exponentially because these tracking were our other business partners around Asia, Europe, and so forth. The US team is just now coming on board, and we're ramping up what our pipeline looks like. Procedure trending, that's in our Salesforce.com system. When a surgeon does an implant, and we're tracking up until June, even though it looks like May there, that's the June bucket. Every day a procedure happens, it's loaded into Salesforce.com. Doc Smith did 2 knee implants, boom, boom. So we're going to see our sales trending there. And then I mentioned the training. So when somebody's trained on our application of knee implant or hip implant, it's done through our event management team. All those are done through Salesforce.com. So how I can tell you about our event management, if you went to Zimmer.com right now, you're going to be propositioned with 2 options. Are you a surgeon or are you a patient? If you took the surgeon route, it shows you our portfolio of events and trainings we have. If you say I want to register for one of those, you get a nice registration screen, much like the one we had for this event. As soon as you save that registration, it's right here in Salesforce. Doc Smith just registered 2 seconds ago for this event. He's going to be in this trend for Q2 2013. Boom, boom, boom. It moves up, and we're tracking all that through a Force.com custom app called the Zimmer Event Management Module. But these are the 3 high-level things we're really doing. Opportunity management standard, procedure training, a feed from our ERP system, and then the event management, which is a custom Force.com app. Just an example of what's going on. And then the last little website I've got, this is the real trending for Radian. So I'm logged into our Radian 6 instance and looking at what I just screen scraped for the PowerPoint. Build these things on the fly within seconds, and you're building dashboards and analyzing data and responding to consumers in ways you've never seen possible. Go ahead.
Don, sorry to interrupt you, but from the listening aspect, are you listening to friends and followers, or are you listening to keywords?
We're listening to keywords across the planet.
Amazing. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you could put in any keyword, whether it's knee replacement or helping out with blind people. You can
I kept a little example here in my dashboard number 1 because we got several dashboards. This was our first attempt at listening. You will see how comical it is. Zimmer thought, we'll put in the word Zimmer, we'll put in the word JOA, some of the things that make sense to us. JOA does not mean anything to social consumers. They're saying JOA because bee sting, not letting the student, the word JOA, it was pulling a bunch of garbage because we didn't know how to configure the tool to listen correctly. Stage 2 is saying, wait a minute. Let's start the map. We're looking for knee replacement. We're looking for knee pain. We're looking for, I need a surgery for knee. We're putting in some very detailed things in what's called the configuration up at the top. And I can build that configuration in minutes and start to pull this information in.
Also look for competitive. Run a dashboard on any time your competition's being mentioned. And when you click on the different, really interesting thing, and one of my clients is doing is it shows a demographic profile of the people talking about your brand. Because the demographics of social are dramatically different than what traditional media is. So it's pretty cool that way.
It's similar to, back in when prospecting was open up the yellow pages or even going to Google or something and try to find somebody with a pulse who will take your call. And maybe you might search on titles, and the titles could be a whole gambit, but it takes a really long time to whittle that down. Here in your example of JOA, you could easily say, okay, JOA is not it. We got to expand that a little bit better. Now you're able to better target and spend and the time that your salespeople spend on making those calls is more valuable than calling prospects who aren't interested.
Right. Well, and like Bob pointed out, the use cases are just unlimited. Because we could be in a conversation saying, oh my gosh, we lost these 4 sales reps and Stryker's beating us up here. Well, you could write a use case in here to build a configuration that's listening for competitive rep discussions. Yeah, granted, it may not be like I'm seeing here 300 a week, but 2, 3 little conversations of somebody saying something or venting about something, or a surgeon saying, hey, I had the worst week of my career, or whatever. Those types of wisdom turn into a different dashboard and a different use case for trying to explore business. So.
But does anybody else have more questions? Dave?
So how do you queue up any of these events? Do you have specific people that just watch the dashboard, or do you have?
So this is a pilot with just our Alaska team right now. There's a guy by the name of Bruce Robinall that I'm partnered with. I'm saying, Bruce, I'm going to be working this animal here, and then I'm going to be manually working with you, Bruce, to understand how we engage your call center to build this thing out. Because from a workflow perspective, we own Salesforce already. We own ExactTarget already. We own Radian, which is a Salesforce. They're all part of the Salesforce family. To your point, how are we going to build this out to connect all of them? It's not built, like I said, fully. I can go to Salesforce and I can put a consumer in manually, and I can go to Radian and look and seek for that consumer manually. But there's a very manual process right now for us to go back to our legal team to say, here's how we methodically want to make this thing happen.
There are 2 primary use cases that we see very often. We have this capability called the social hub. So here's how I say it. When people are saying people use this for lead generation and for brand management, reputation management. So you ever see the thing on United when they broke the guitars or whatever? And so if we see negative stuff around your brand, or people are complaining around your brand, we understand sentiment analysis. There's an ability to say automatically create a case through workflow, enter a case into Salesforce, but now your customer service rep, maybe it goes right to your CEO because this is really negative. So people are saying really bad things, and it automatically can email from your CEO. I'd love to talk to you about that. People will, imagine you Twitter something negative and you get an automatic email from your company saying, thank you, that's interesting. We'd like to talk to you about it. Or if you're asking about RFP for something, we'd be interested in working with you. And so they can automatically create leads or cases. So it's called social hub.
Yeah. And our unfortunate piece why we're doing this mainly right now, our sales channel is not fully on board. So even if I had a lead to create an opportunity, this guy's like, whoa, time out, I'm just barely learning the opportunity. So,
well, that's because they're in surgery all the time. They're in surgery, right? Yeah. Any other questions?
So are you saying that to the call center because they're already set up with legal on what they can and can't say, and social is still kind of a new game for what you can and can't say legally?
That's one piece, and the other piece is they're already using Salesforce.com for all the other consumer. If a consumer goes to our website, he can fill out a form and say, I'm interested in Zimmer information. That goes straight into Salesforce to this same call center team. What we're saying here is this is the same population of people that really don't even know Zimmer exists. Right. I mean, we probably get about 100 a week of consumer leads that come in through our website. There's hundreds of these guys saying stuff about knee pain that don't even know Zimmer's an option for me.
So how are they teeing that up? Are they giving them information that, hey, we saw you taught me, or is it just hey, Zimmer happened to call me? Oh wow, 5 knee replacements, because we get sometimes we do a very, very, very small scale, but it creeps people out that you're listening to what they're saying or watching or tracking online.
Right.
Oh, hey, you're on my website. How'd you know that? Who are you? So are they seeing it up that hey, we saw you talk about knee replacements, want to be a educational resource for you, or are you just not even saying that at all? Just hey, we happen to call you.
No, we're being very point blank with these people, saying, well, keep in mind, 3 weeks ago, nothing was happening here. Right. We just started building this listening model. Now we've got a guy in the call center saying, okay, I can't deal with hundreds of these, but I will methodically say, this one makes sense today. And I'm going to start to point blank that person and say, I am from Zimmer. We see socially you're interacting with the world here. It's not like, why are you calling me? Do you not realize you told the world publicly something? Right. It's not you're privately doing anything here.
Right.
So the legal, the FDA issues, our team's saying, absolutely, this makes sense. But don't just set up a workflow like Bob pointed out right out of the gate and automatically CEO messages are going to somebody that's like, whoops, that one shouldn't have gone. We've got to methodically figure out how can we manually tee this up and then put our script in place to automate.
So here's a what if. What if someone's talking about knee replacements and they don't really know who Zimmer is? Then the next time they log into Facebook, there just happens to be a video ad about Zimmer knee replacements. We bought a company called Buddy Media that does that. So basically, we can hear what you're saying, present you with an ad without you ever interacting with the customer. So basically, it's a closed loop marketing. Hey, free stuff. Instead of spending millions of dollars on advertising where you don't know what the return is, a direct correlation.
Yep.
These people want to know about it. I'm telling you about it. Your hit rate goes through the roof.
Are you mining Gmail too?
We don't mine anything. We're mining data.
We're going to wrap it up here, but Chris, I mean, one of the biggest things that we've seen is the big brother aspect of it. And just to echo what Don said, it's all about how you handle that, and you have to have the right processes in place. Well, Don, thanks a lot for having us. I've been impressed with what they've done at Zimmer, and I know that Don will be sticking around. I know that Rusty and Mark will be sticking around, and Bob and Matt, and so will myself and Bob Meslin will be more than happy to be sticking around. Make sure that you get with Andrea afterwards. I've had a chance to use their systems here. I'm impressed, and I think that the tour will be well worth your time, especially if you're interested in gadgets and want to know what to do with it. I want to just close with just a couple things. We're doing several of these. We've already done a few in the past, and we're doing more in the future. Our next event is June 20th. So feel free to visit our website, galvintech.com. This event's going to be more about how do you attract and engage your users. Definitely targeted more on the marketing side, and then how do you get those individuals, get them into a CRM, and then how do you sell to them and use more of that data to your leverage. We're going to get into some amazing things to go along Chris's stuff with personalization and more Big Brother stuff. Stuff that definitely you need to get into now. Because your competition is. So we're going to be going into that a little bit more. We have another event. And Hillary, we have a sheet out there that shows some of our upcoming events, right? So feel free to take it with you. We have an event with NFL.com that will be coming up in July. So who here likes football? All right. So that'll be a half-hour event. It's a webinar. It's going to be really neat about how the NFL.com manages their website. And then this event's called A Morning in the Clouds. And on August 1st, we're going to have an evening in the clouds. So we'll get it just before sunset. And hopefully Bob and Matt will be able to join us as well for that. So just keep an eye out for your email. Follow us on Twitter. Go to our website. And we'll be more than happy to have any of you guys join us. Upon further ado, Andrea is over there in the red dress. I'm sure that anybody's welcome to stick around, have some more coffee, eat some Danishes, and enjoy the rest of the week, everybody. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Please, tour-wise, maybe like 15 minutes or so, and then if anybody wants to stay and kind of dive into tours, but I want to make sure that our taking another hour.
Okay, Rusty. Yeah, I enjoyed that. That was good.
I've been trying to do different things in my talk.
So you do these often? I'm sure we'll see. Yeah. This is once in a while. 2 months. I do some kind of summit, and then so you said about that catalog.
Yeah.
I just glanced at it.
There's nothing in it.
Well, yeah. Well, and then
really weird.
I'll be here in a couple weeks too. So I was like,
yeah.
That's yours?
There's no substance at all. It's just like Mark and I was
well, so the rumor is exact target and we're don't exactly get along. So, they are. They used to be.
You see anything else?
I'm really glad. Can you please send me an email and maybe we can grab coffee or lunch? All right, good, Steve. Hey, thanks a lot for joining us. So did you learn any nuggets?
Yeah, it was really cool. Actually, I was really impressed with a couple of things. Like your app, I kind of started the wheels turning. I'm like, oh my gosh, this would be a great way to present more things. Instead of having a website with a list of all our stuff, have this app that encompasses the entire
like on a tour, or you got kids on a tour, or you have iPads, kiosks, basketball games. I wanted to tell you there is a sales on June 25th or 26th. I forget the date. I can send you the information in Detroit. Wayne State University is putting together an education summit with Salesforce and education. It's a free event, and so Wayne State implemented this type of stuff and really embraced the whole student engagement. How do we recruit? How do we get them? I saw them present last September at Dreamforce, and so they're putting together a free event. And you might want to head up there. It's really cool. I would like to. Where is it? In Detroit. So let me